Hi everyone, so as we're wrapping up 2025, I've been looking back at my portfolio and honestly it's been a pretty wild ride so far for me this year. I've managed to end the year on a very strong note, but it definitely wasn't a smooth ride from start to finish. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the numbers, how much I've started with exactly and what I put in every single month and the gains that I've made, and also talk to you about my top 3 winners for this year to help my portfolio with its gains and more importantly the mindset shift I had to go through in order to hit my goals. Whether you're just starting out your investment journey or you've been invested for a pretty long time, I think there's a lot that we can learn from how this year has played out so far. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the video. It's pretty crazy to think how I started this portfolio only 5 years ago and it has grown to where it is today. I remember back in university when I first started investing, I didn't really have much goal in mind. I just invested whatever capital or hundreds of dollars I had left over from my pocket money, and I knew that I wanted to invest and make some money with this remaining pool of cash that I have. So because of whatever that I kept seeing at that point of time, I just dived straight into investing. A $2,000 initial investment back in 2020 slowly grew into $10,000 when I started full-time employment, and in October of 2022 I only had about $15,000 invested at that point of time. And that's also where I set myself the goal that I wanted to achieve $100,000 by 30. This $100,000 by 30 is somehow the number that is the most common in financial independence journey. I keep seeing it all over blogs, social media and YouTube. So I just set it for myself without thinking much. Actually, I think in reality most people meant $100,000 in net worth by 30, meaning stocks plus savings, but for me I had 2 goals in mind. The first was $100,000 total net worth and the other is $100,000 investable assets in portfolio. I managed to achieve the first one at the start of this year in 2025, and I'm happy to announce that I achieved a $100,000 investable portfolio just recently this year as well. So I've read before that compounding truly takes off once you hit this milestone, and I can really vouch for that now. Today, just a 1% move in my portfolio is $1,000+. That is something that is really hard to imagine when I first started investing. I personally feel this has been a really long journey with so much ups and downs and time and effort put into it, but I made it and I wasn't expecting to hit this milestone so soon. But somehow I did it because of how I positioned myself at the start of 2025, and I would love to show you how I did it so that you can possibly recreate it on your own as well. So let's get straight into the numbers. I started 2025 with $71,000 in my portfolio, and by the end of the year the portfolio grew and is now sitting at $123,000. Now it's important to distinguish between growth and deposits. This year I stayed disciplined and deposited a total of $24,400 that consisted of a consistent DCA every single month for $1,200 and the 2 lump sum deposits of $5,000 each when I saw opportunities in the market. If you take $123,000 minus my starting initial balance and those deposits, that leaves me with a gain of $27,500, and this is 31% return on the year, comparing to the returns of the S&P 500 at 18% this year. But this profit you see is not always a straight line up. At the start of this year, things were actually looking pretty gloomy. In April, I saw my portfolio swing down by almost $20,000 to $25,000, and if you measure from the bottom to the top, that's actually a $50,000 swing from where I am now. And the main thing I did was buy more during a dip instead of panic selling. I still remember in June, even after the market had recovered from April, my portfolio year to date was still returning flat at only about 1 to 2%. I've been constantly investing for 6 months and I had almost nothing to show for it. If this was the old me, I would have sold off some of my positions and try to go into some form of hype stocks just to chase those returns. But in this time, I actually stayed calm and convicted and only buy when I saw the opportunities when it presents itself. I just continued to add, and that's the reason why the returns finally came. My portfolio just exploded because of the 3 stocks that I'm going to tell you right now. Palantir is up 157% year to date. This started off as a meme stock where I found it on Wall Street Bets, but the more I look into it, the more I'm convicted about it. I held Palantir since 2023. I trimmed it along the way. At my peak, I had about 400 shares, and if of course I haven't touched it, then I'll be very rich now. But my returns weren't too bad as well. Trimming allows me to lock in some profits and more importantly, sleep better at night because of the volatility. Google is up about 62% year to date. I started this only as a starter position in February 2025 when sentiment was pretty horrible because of the antitrust lawsuits and the DOJ. I kept adding even at these lows of about $148, and I'm glad I ignored all the noise and focused on the fundamentals of the company. Business was growing quarter after quarter, and it didn't seem to be making sense to me that this company is failing or dying. and it's going to be affected by AI or disruption to its search engines. It's actually ASML, up 52% year to date, a semiconductor related company famous for its monopoly on the lithography machine. This one actually tested my patience. I started buying in July of 2024. For an entire year, this stock did absolutely nothing. It just traded sideways. The hardest part of investing isn't the math, it's actually the discipline. During that April dip when I was down about $20,000 to $30,000, I didn't panic, while other people were all panicking and telling you to sell all your positions because the market is going to crash and it's going to go even lower. I actually bought more. I want to talk about something which I find is the most important during investing: your mindset. I used to go in and out of stocks trying to catch a quick 5 or 10% gain. I see headlines, watch a YouTube video about maybe the top 10 stocks that you can potentially 10x your money on, and maybe start buying without actually doing much research or homework about it. This is essentially gambling, I do agree, and this year I made a conscious decision to not do it and stay within my circle of competence. I stayed away from the FOMO and hype stocks. In the past, I would have been so tempted to actually gamble my money there, but this year I actually realized that my winners outran my losers simply because I stayed in my lane. I didn't let the internet noise dictate my investment decisions, and I really purely just invested in the things that I am convicted in. That's also the reason why when the market dropped, I didn't panic sell or was worried at one point of time. Your conviction is the one that actually stops you from panicking when times get tough. I enjoy the research, but I know not everyone has the time or energy to study individual stocks. If that is you, a more passive way of investing via ETF can also work. You might not get a 100% runner like Palantir or a 50% runner like Google, but you won't have the stress of a negative 20 or 30% swing either. The key is just not to panic sell when times become tough. My portfolio didn't grow linearly, it grew at an exponential rate all at once on the second half of this year. If you can't sit through a 6-month worth of flat returns, you don't deserve the 20-30% gain at the end of the year. S&P 500 returned 18% this year, but most people did not get this return because they cannot stomach a almost 19% drop in between April. Maybe they sold out at some point of time and think that they can catch it at a lower point and catch it on the way up again, which also somehow means they lost out on the almost 39% rebound from the bottom to the top. That is the biggest takeaway from investing this year actually. It wasn't about finding the next best stock, it was about analysis and conviction. When you do your own research, you don't panic when the stock goes down. Instead, you see it as a discount. When you buy because of hype, you panic the moment the price drops 5% because you don't actually know what you're investing in. This year when I saw buying opportunities, I added more and more. I was able to do that because I understood the businesses and the fundamental models of this stock that I've owned. I've learned and matured from speculative trading and investing, and that's also why my returns have finally started to outperform the market. It has been 5 years in the markets and there is still a lot that I can be learning. I'm not an expert by any means, and I've never wanted to act like I am better than anybody else. Every single day I'm looking at people who I feel are far better than me in the game of investing. People who have returned 40, 50, even 60% this year, and I'm trying to learn from them. And slowly but surely I am improving day by day. It is a long journey, but as long as you start, you eventually get there. I'm planning to do a separate video with a full portfolio breakdown showing every single stock I hold, so let me know in the comments if you want to see that. As usual, drop your questions below if you have any. I'll try my best to help based on what I have learned so far. That's all I have for you today. If you found this video useful, give it a like and subscribe to my channel and follow along on this journey. Have an amazing week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.